Okay, I decided to go ahead and jump back on today and just really quick cover the Chad Daybell case. Now, I don't know if any of you guys are actually familiar with the Lori Vallow Daybell and the Chad Daybell case. Now, this is a couple. Just a quick synopsis of who they are. Chad Daybell had his was kind of creating his own following, and they were members of the Latter-day Saints religion. And Lori, I guess he used to write books and put on little seminars and talks and stuff. And then he started creating his kind of own meetings, and a woman by the name of Melanie Gibb heard about Chad, and she met Lori, and then she takes and at one of the meetings, she introduces Lori, at the time Vallow, to Chad Daybell. Now, Chad was married to Tammy. They had been married for many years. I believe they have five children, 5 or 6 adult children. They're all older, and or most of them are adults, but they were not little kids. They were all older. And Lori had 2 children. She had at the time like a 15, 16-year old and then a 5 to 7 year old. And what happened with these two is, oh, it's a cautionary tale. Lori says, and it's been backed up. Now, Lori has already been tried. Her trial was last year, and she was found guilty on all charges. Now, Chad's trial is now, and he's trying to say he's innocent and he didn't do anything wrong. And cut to the chase, what happened is Chad's wife ends up dying. Lori's children are murdered and found buried in Chad's yard. Lori's ex-husband is killed, and then Lori's brother dies. That's a lot of deaths for these two. In 17 days, I believe it was 17 days after Tammy Daybell, Chad's wife, died. Now, they carried on an affair. She met him, and on the day Lori met Chad, she met him at one of his little conferences, and then she decided that she would help him sell his books, right? So she goes and gets his books, and she's out there trying to help him sell and everything like that. And from that moment, Chad said he was smitten with her from the moment he met her. Now, they go on to create an entire fantasy where they include portals, and Lori is actually married to Moroni, but yet they're sealed together. Her and Chad are sealed together in a temple, their own ceremony, not the church. They basically bastardized the entire LDS religion. Now, I'm not bashing them. I don't know their stance on any of this. And, so I don't want people to, I don't want to put it across that this is standard behavior of people from the LDS church. I don't believe that to be the case. However, these two truly went off the deep end. They started creating their own scale of who needs to die and who needs to go. And of course, Lori's children were considered dark and they had to go. Chad's wife was dark and she was going to die. He was predicting her death. And I don't know how I don't know how Tammy stayed with him, because they're showing in the court documents that Chad was having premonitions about Tammy's death way before he even met Lori. But it's like from the time he met Lori, Tammy's fate was sealed, and Lori was the catalyst to get Tammy out of the way. And Chad was the catalyst to get Lori's children out of the way. The sad part is Lori's children, she had a 17-year-old Tylee and a 7-year-old JJ. JJ had, I believe it was autism. He was a special needs child. Now, how they found these children, it's disturbing. Now, mind you, they lied to everybody. The police and the other family members had been trying to find them for months. And Lori kept saying, "Oh no, they're fine. They're okay. They're perfectly safe. I have them hidden because, she's blaming the family wants to hurt them. They're trying to take them away." All this garbage, right? And both of these children were receiving Social Security benefits because of each of their fathers passing. And then, due to that, the children then were entitled to benefits for a while. Now, Lori to collect the disability, not disability, I'm sorry, it was death benefits that these children received on fathers. She never reported them dying. Now, I don't know. Hopefully this is still going. I just got a thing pop up saying that there's an issue. We're having trouble streaming to YouTube. So I don't know. Hopefully this is still going. Let me check real quick and see. I'll check on my phone because we're just getting to the nitty gritty of the case. And I know that this is just okay. I think that this is it. Yeah. Okay, we're still on. But okay, I forget where I left off. The benefits. They were Lori did not ever report her children missing. So many people, family members, friends, were trying to locate them. These two took off from either Arizona and Utah. They were all over the place, and then went to Hawaii and were married there 17 days after Chad's wife dies. And now they're getting married, no children anywhere. And what is brought up in the case so far is Chad sent out a rental application. This was when he was still in Utah, to a property in Kauai. And he put on there, something about, would you be interested in a very, clean couple with no children? Now, up until that point, nobody knew the children were missing. Lori had been lying all over the place, saying that they were safe. First, she says they're with the grandparents. Then the grandparents report them missing, saying we don't see them. And then she says, no, they're with a friend. Then that friend, covers her butt and says, yeah, they're here, but then I gave them back. And then that friend's like, hey, wait a second, something's up. And eventually, Lori gets arrested. Chad doesn't get arrested till later. But when the police finally get a search warrant for Chad's property and they start digging in what he calls the pet cemetery, which is not too far away from his house, this is where they find the dismembered and burnt body of the 17-year-old little girl. And then they find the little boy. He is duct taped. His hands and his feet are duct taped. His mouth has duct tape over it. He has scratches on his neck. So they're thinking, he was trying to, because first they do all that. Then they put a plastic bag on this little boy's head and then duct tape it on. And then they take him and put him in black plastic bags. I mean, this is evil. Evil, evil, evil. And then the poor little guy has scratches on his neck. So as you know, you don't duct tape a corpse. And that little boy was found buried in the yard. So I think you can put two and two together. And Chad is trying to say he's innocent. He didn't do this. He never hurt anybody. He didn't use any funds. He didn't take any money. And then when Melanie Gibb, who was the friend who had been with him the entire time, she's a witness for the prosecution. And then when it came time to cross-examine the attorney for Chad Daybell, his name is John Pryor, he goes up there and he does his best to twist Melanie Gibb's testimony. Now, she did originally lie to the police. She did tell them, Lori called and says, they're going to come to you, tell them that you have JJ. And so she's like, well, what's going on? So the police come to her and she's like, well, yeah, I had him. And then I sent him back. And, she ends up calling Lori, hey, so she's covering for a friend and she lied. She did come clean. Now, nobody's saying it's a good thing to lie to the police. Well, John Pryor then tries to twist her testimony to oh, you're such a liar. And why, if you lied then, why should we believe you now? And he was going over parts of her testimony. And then, how do you know? Because she was saying her stance was that Lori would get an idea. She would then take it to Chad. Chad would then give her directions on what she should do. And then Lori would give that information to Melanie. And Pryor's like, well, Lori's a liar and you're a liar. So why is it that we should believe that Chad did this? Right. So there were a lot of people who were watching her going, ooh, he got her. He got her. No, he didn't, because the next day they bring up an FBI, a forensic specialist, and he goes through the text messages and he proves with the text messages and emails that Lori consistently went to Chad. Chad then said, let me pray about that and see about getting their numbers lower. The lower the numbers, the higher your darkness was ranked, which means you had to die. So then Chad would come back and say, here's where they are. And then Lori would then take that information to somebody else. So it absolutely proved everything Melanie was saying. So I was like, yeah, got him. But anyway, I am not sure why this guy is, dragging this through a court hearing. He's facing the death penalty. And he really somehow, he's so arrogant. He really thinks that he can prove that he didn't kill these children. He didn't collect any of their money. Now, here's the thing. He knew these children were dead. He knew they were buried in his yard. And yet he allowed Lori to purchase airline tickets for him to go to other places to give his little talks. And he knew the money Lori was spending belonged to the children. That is called fraud. It's fraud. And he was, using these funds. It's all backed up with emails, with receipts and everything. So I don't understand what this guy is thinking. I would, if I were his attorney, I would have fought to get a sentence where he wasn't going to be, or have the chance to look at death. But right now he's looking at a possibility of death if convicted. It's just been like an amazing case. You'll see where I leave little updates here and there underneath the community tab. But it's like, wow. So far, it's not looking good at all. Everything that he's been accused of so far is being backed up by documentation. And there are people on the internet that sit there and go, oh, John Pryor's doing such a great job for the defense. I don't see it. I don't. He makes these weird comments and he goes in and he's a bully. And when I watch the two of them, when I watch Pryor and Chad together, believe it or not, now Chad looks like this little worm of a human that just sits there and he never moves, right? He's either looking at a computer, which it contains evidence, or he just sits there like a statue. But when he communicates with Pryor, Chad is very much the alpha, and Pryor, sorry, Pryor is very much like this little mousy guy. But when he gets up there, and especially female witnesses, he's constantly badgering, twisting, and bullying the witness. Now, why the prosecution allows this, I have no idea. He constantly will say, like, especially when Melanie was up there, he would say, now, how many times do you recall seeing Chad at a particular weekend? And she would say, I don't recall how many times. I just know I saw him. So you're saying you saw him on this day? She's like, no, I said I just recall seeing him. So now you're changing your testimony and you're trying to tell us that you did. So he would do this kind of stuff. And he's supposed to be cross-examining, but it's not even that. It's an attack, a constant attack. And the only thing I can think of is he has nothing else to go on. So he's like, well, I'll badger these witnesses and treat them like garbage and then try to make myself look like I know what I'm doing and we have all this stuff in our favor. And he has nothing. I mean, there was one time, one comment he made, and I don't know if I left it on the community post or not, and I can't think of it right now, but I'm like, he finally made a point. And I'm like, after 2 weeks, you finally made one point on cross exam that was like, oh, okay, wait a second. Now you're going to make me stop and think. However, the next day it was explained, and the guy from the FBI forensic office just destroyed his little comment right out of the water. But that's not the point. The point was, is he finally actually, had an aha, I stuck it to you moment. Didn't last long, but he did have one. So I don't know. Lori, her trial was held last year, and like I said, she was found guilty on all charges: murder of her children, of course, fraud, and taking the death benefits from Social Security. And now she's in Arizona. They're going to actually charge her in conspiracy to commit murder of her husband. And hey, Russell, thanks for joining. I'm going over the Daybell case right now. I already went over the book. That was just a really short little video. But this is the Daybell case. Now, so now, again, like I said, now we're going over Chad's case. Now, the one thing that Chad said that should make everybody stop and pause: when the police were there excavating his backyard and they found remains of the children. Of course, JJ, he was in one piece. Tylee was the one who was dismembered and burned. And he's talking to his daughter. He's now in the back seat of the police car, and his daughter's there, and they're talking about bills like you and I would chit chat. Oh yeah, you got to pay. The daughter is crying once in a while because, oh, daddy, they're arresting you. Oh my, I don't know. I don't get it. Okay. If that was my family member and they're digging children out of their backyard, I wouldn't be standing there talking to them about a damn mortgage payment. I would be asking them, what did you do? Why are there children in there? I would not be okay with this. And she's even telling him something along the effects of, well, do you think you're coming home or whatever? And he just goes, I'm not coming back. Would an innocent person sit there and tell his daughter, oh yeah, I'm not coming back. So here's the bills. Here's what you need to do. And that's, again, on video recording. So, yeah, it's a cautionary tale of, if you were married and you meet somebody and you feel that someone is your quote unquote soulmate, divorce your spouse. If you truly want to be with that other person, leave your spouse. But they both had their spouses. Both of their spouses are dead, and her children are dead, just so they could then be married. Because Chad was convincing Lori that they were married in all these previous lives. They were meant to be together, and they found each other again. And yeah, it's very, very, very disturbing. And so I'm looking forward. Trial starts again tomorrow morning at 8:30. If you go to East Idaho News on YouTube, they will carry it live. Also, Judge Boyce from he has a YouTube channel, and he's also streaming it live on his channel. You can't write any comments or chat or anything on Judge Boyce's channel. You can just watch the trial. But at East Idaho News, there is a live chat in with 10,000, 11, 12,000 people watching this live stream. That chat gets it gets pretty very, very, very active. So it's been interesting. What I don't understand though, I mean, I get it. I guess maybe I get it. Some people want to believe so much that, innocent until proven guilty. But even up to this point, with everything, and Chad sitting there going, I'm not coming home. Ha ha ha. Ugh, there are children in your backyard, dude, and you're laughing. You're laughing and saying you're not coming home. I don't see how he's going to fare well when all is said and done. And they haven't even finished with witnesses yet. So, hold on. Russell says this could be a sign of psychopathy. Then, in that context, their context would make sense. Okay, so yeah, a psychopathic person would do some weird stuff, but that's just it. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, but when you watch him, I don't know. Or Russell, you have a background in this. Let me ask you: can a psychopath be made? Now, he was always narcissistic. He was a very insecure narcissist, if you want to call it that way, which kind of seems to be, an oxymoron. But he was very shy, and he not a good looking man at all. And not to say anything about men that aren't good looking, because I'm no prize, but he was very insecure and everything. And he meets Lori, who then completely feeds him. And he goes from this narcissist to now a person where they're both plotting and carrying out the direction of deaths for everybody who stands in their way. And I mean everyone. If you spoke against them, Chad would go have his little visions, and you would be light one day, and now you're dark, and all dark people had to be done away with. So I don't know. Can someone be created? Their conversation. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh, their conversion. Wait, hold on. Okay, there. Oh no, he says conversation. So do you think someone can go from? Can a psychopath be created? Now I get it confused between a psychopath and a sociopath. I think one is born, one can be kind of carved out of situations, and you can become something you probably never would have been if you hadn't been in that situation. And that's where I see Chad and Lori. There are two people who, I don't know, maybe Lori would have all along. I mean, she's a real piece of work, but Chad really went from being this in, he was really a nothing and a nobody. And he meets her, and now all of a sudden they're this leader of this new group, and everybody's looking to him, and he has this goddess now. He calls her a goddess. Okay, so you say in short, yes. Okay, so yeah, so that's kind of how I see what happened with Chad. Doesn't change the fact that they killed these people, and or had a hand in having them killed. Sure. Let me see. Hold on a second. How do I? Hold on. There's got to be a link here somewhere. Where's the link? Give me a second here. And I know there's got to be a way to get people to join. Greg does this all the time. And he's, hey, here's the link to join the discussion. And invite. Duh, jeepers creepers. Sorry, sometimes I swear I don't have a brain God gave a gnat. Okay, there's the link to this. And hopefully Russ will be able to log on here in a second. But the dynamics of this case go from people who they're following their religion very closely, and I believe in their hearts they think they're devout. But then they meet and it's bad. It's just like a really bad mix. All of a sudden, you have gasoline and a match, and you know. Um, so, Russell, I put the link in the chat. So, anyway, it has been interesting to watch this. Now, okay, Russell's here. Let me add him.
Yay!
Okay, hi.
Okay, I wanted to join because the answer is not as simple as yes, but I am writing deficient. Writing, because my brain is thinking, and I cannot write fast enough to think. It's just easier just to answer.
Okay. Okay. Well, then
So,
explain how. Because
okay,
I mean,
first
I
of all,
really want to know. My question is I want to know: can he
oh,
go from? Hold on. Can he go
okay.
from being a normal, average, everyday person, meet somebody, and then all of a sudden he's never maybe ever thought about killing anybody, but now all of a sudden he's okay with killing everybody that gets in his way.
Okay, that in that context, yes. And the two examples I would point to would be the Barbie and Ken murders, and then the Moors murders. Okay, if you look up those two, yes, it can. It very well can. And the reason why, first of all, if you have a person who is totally into God, is not out in la la land somewhere, then it becomes extremely difficult. But now, if you have a person who is weak minded, who already has social impairments, has a weak constitution, has a weak self image, which can all be caused by environmental or social environments. Okay, then yes, it's extremely easy, and they are extremely easy to manipulate. But you have to have one person has to be the manipulator. You have to have a person who knows how to take control of that person to get what they want. And what happens is if you have a weak self image of yourself, you have a weak self picture, and your whole life your parents are shitty, your work is shitty, everything that you don't get along with men or women either way, your relationships are shitty. And so then the need or the desire to have that validation could become strong. I have to stay away from what's that word, whatever. Yeah. It's too early in the morning here in the Philippines, so excuse me.
No, that's okay. Well, what you're saying right now makes sense because Chad was very, like I said, you look at him and he's like this big oaf and not in a good way. Sometimes when you're like, oh, you're just a big oaf, it's like this cute, cuddly, clumsy kind of guy. Chad is like not attractive. He's overweight. He's very dull. He's
Oh, yeah.
very monotonous when he talks. And then all of a sudden, Lori's this younger, but she's this beautiful woman, blonde hair, very vivacious, very outgoing, charismatic. And then she takes a total interest in him. And then you see it completely switch. What she does is she's
Yeah.
like, well, Chad, what do I need to do? And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I have to go pray about this and I have to have visions. And then I'm going to come back and now I'm going to tell you what you need to do. And it's
Oh,
like he received
yeah.
a validation finally.
Yeah. That guy's Looney Tunes to begin with. I know it's a very unprofessional term, but he is Looney Tunes. His environment set him up for that. And the other one, if you want to look into another one that would validate my point, is the Charles Manson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the three best examples that I can point to is Charles Manson, the Ken and Barbie murders, and the Moors murders. I mean,
Yeah.
you have one weak, one strong. And if you're confused or debating what is the difference, first of all, when it comes to differentiating the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath, do not use the DSM-5.
Okay, because I do believe the
Oh,
DSM-5 kind of makes them the same, but they're not.
they're not. And if you want to know what the difference is, it would be the difference between Ted Bundy and Ed Gein.
Okay, yeah, those are 2 completely different, yeah.
There, see, Ted Bundy was a sociopath. Point blank. He has, and just for clarification for your viewers, I have a BS in counseling psychology. I have a master's in human sciences with the concentration in psychology. I have a postgraduate diploma in forensic science. So, and I've done my practical work too as well. But in my opinion, my professional opinion, what differentiates the two is that with a sociopath, there is no known indication of a medical problem.
Okay.
There's no medical. In other words, they don't have depression. There's nothing medical that can account for their actions.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a sociopath. That's like a narcissist. There's nothing wrong with them. They're as right as rain. They just don't care. And so a narcissist would be like a sociopath. Now, so Ted Bundy would be the classical sociopath. Now, a psychopath this is where Ed Gein comes in. It's a person that doesn't have the wherewithal to decide what is right and what is wrong. They are like Ed Gein.
There's like an
If
emotional deficit in there.
yeah, if Ed Gein wouldn't have had I hate to use the term mother because I really think it dishonors mothers, but if he didn't have a female biological person who brought him into the world, he may have been different. But because of her and for the constant abuse all his life, and this is why Ed Gein's brother did not become a killer, because Ed Gein's brother left, and
Yeah.
Ed stayed with the mother, and then he kept his mother in a bedroom.
Yeah.
Hello. So that is the psychopath. When you start eating out of skulls as your bowl, no,
Yeah,
that's
there's
a psychopath.
yeah.
Okay.
So
So
clearly, Chad
this
Daybell is not a
person,
psychopath. He's like a
no, I would have to say he's different. Yes, he has sociopathic tendencies,
narcissist.
but I think those tendencies would not have been brought out. Let's say if you would have had a good Christian woman who was there in the mind
Well, see,
and
and he
was
did
not a
have that.
sociopath.
That's the problem. His wife was an amazing woman, and she was, they were of the same religion, and like I said, she had like 5 children, 5 or 6 children. She was the one who had the steady job, so he could go and do his little dream of, becoming some pastor or book writer or whatever. So she held down the regular job and everything. But once he met Lori, it was like the worst combination was those
Yeah.
two coming together.
Then Lori would be your she's still, I do believe that she would be a sociopath, but she is a sociopath with narcissistic rage.
Well, and here's the thing, from what it appears right now, where it seems like the defense is trying to go is that Chad is not guilty because Lori was the manipulator and Chad was just the, oh, poor Chad. Lori took advantage of him. And now look, all these people are dead because of Lori. And it's like, no, he participated as well.
No, 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 no. See, that's one of the interesting things. In order to state that Chad was responsible, you would have to prove that he was not cognizant. He did not have the wherewithal to make a decision on himself and to understand the gravity and the potential consequences of said decision. No, he did. Just because you are a sociopath does not abdicate you from any responsibility whatsoever,
Yeah,
because
and that's the whole
you
thing.
know
That's what the prosecution is putting out, is that it right now it doesn't matter who the manipulator was and who was the one that followed
no.
along. The stories, I mean, the truth is they both participated. They both
Yep.
knew these children died. They both knew that these children were in his yard. They both took advantage. They both then used these children's money that was from the government. They're both guilty. They're both equally guilty.
I would say yes, and this is my own opinion, and I know that people have the right to disagree with me, but if they are found guilty, it's a waste of our time to keep them alive.
Well,
It's a
yeah.
waste of time. It's a waste of money. I know this sounds harsh, but let me tell you, when you deal with this type of person, no, 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 no.
Well, and
What they did, they need to die.
well, Lori's trial's done, and she did not face the death penalty. She was found guilty on all counts. Chad is facing the death penalty. Now, whether or not he gets it, we don't even know if he's going to be found guilty yet. Don't know. There's still a whole lot of trial left. But
Oh, that's
so
wrong.
far, so far, again, this is where I am questioning, because there are several YouTube channels, like court channels and lawyers and stuff, who are sitting there saying, oh, Pryor, which is Chad's attorney, John Pryor, oh, he's doing a great job. And I'm like, doing what? I mean, what has this guy done? He's seriously is a bully. He's very angry, argumentative. Will repeat the same question 20 different ways for an hour and gets away with it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, shut up. You've asked that question. And I'm sitting there screaming at this, not screaming, but I'm like yelling at the screen, asked and answered. Object. This has been asked and answered. But they just
Here,
keep
here,
going and going.
here's the thing. Would you consider Satan not culpable because one day he decided to do a good job?
Oh yeah, no, he's culpable.
No. Okay. If it Chad is no. That's like saying Satan, oh, since as long as you spent 1,000 years, or you just decided to turn over a new leaf. No, they are master manipulators. They can make you, if you're not grounded in what you believe, are you allowed the DSM-5 to become your thus saith the Lord? And I'm not making fun of the Bible. I just want to clear that. But if you let that happen and you go out and you do, no, you are totally cognizant. You are culpable. It's like Satan. He is going to be culpable no matter what. And not to make this a religious thing, but and I know that one day he will come as an angel of light. He has the ability to transform himself into what he used to be. But what you used to be and what you are inside, you can't change that.
Yeah, exactly. And
And
like
Chad is that way.
Yeah, and what I posted, this was 6 days ago, and it was day 3, and I put this on my community. I just said, "Wow, day 3 of the Chad Daybell hearing." He tells his daughter, well, now he's in the back of the vehicle, while sitting in the back of the police car, "I'm not coming back." And then, 3 days ago on that trial, the highlight for me that I found that day was Chad filled out an application for a rental property and listed himself and Lori as having no children. This was before the bodies of the children were found buried in his yard. And, and they have video of the 2 of them putting these children's belongings in some storage unit, and they were never seen again. And it flabbergasts me that it even has to go to trial.
Here's the only caveat to what I said
Uh-huh.
is if you can prove the context and what he said by I'm not coming back, if you can prove what context he may have allegedly said that, then to sit there and to, I hate saying this, but to sit there and say, "Oh, you're guilty," I think it's a travesty of justice.
Well,
Because
okay,
if
again,
he says I'm not coming back, does he mean is he talking about killing himself?
no, no,
If
no, no, no. I
oh,
told you she was saying something along the lines of, if you get arrested, what do I do? And he goes, "I'm not coming back." He knew he was going to be arrested and get thrown in prison. That's what, when you're looking
in
at
that
the context.
context, yes, no, he is guilty. If they prove in a court of law, I'm sorry, unless, and here's the bad thing: master manipulators can go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and because they put so much weight into the "thus saith the Lord," they can end up making him look like he's Tinkerbell,
Mhm.
and he's not. And it's the same thing along the lines with Satan. He's so good at manipulation. He knows you in and out. And this guy probably does know his legal team, the courts. He knows how it's run and blah, 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 blah. But I think the girl, I don't know why, and I'm trying not to be sexist here, but I don't know why women get away with this much more than men. Women in this category, in this context, when they're that far gone, they are master manipulators to the
Well,
extreme.
yeah, but
And
she didn't get away with it. She's in prison.
but she didn't get the death penalty.
Because and that had not okay. To clarify that, the Utah court was actually going to try them together. And then Lori was like, I want to have this is all Utah law. I want to have a speedy trial. Chad's like, I don't want a speedy trial. So they had to go and do all this legal manipulating. But because Lori was in pushing for her rights under Utah law, which I think she thought that would leave them no time to prosecute her. So she wanted her trial now. You guys arrested me. Give me my
Yeah.
trial now. So with that, the prosecuting attorney says, I don't know if we can really do a death penalty case because we don't have time to get it together. So and Chad could have done the same thing. He chose not to. So because of that, they separated the cases. Lori then had death penalty taken off because of that. Chad then waited, death penalty still on the table.
Yep. She's a master manipulator.
Oh yeah. I mean,
She knew the deal. And
he knew
she
too. He knew.
I
He
know,
just
but
didn't want to.
his narcissism probably was laying undetected for a very long time, and it was the lady who came along and gave him the confidence that he was sorely missing, that he may have been sorely missing, and that brought it to light. And in the end, it just might be that he may be a little bit more worse off than her. But
Oh yeah.
she knows the system. She's a
But
master manipulator. She
well,
knows how to get out.
and that may be, but it doesn't change the fact that, you know, he's still guilty. He made that
No.
decision and he was the one that decided the children were dark. He did. He had his visions. Oh, they're dark. They're now taken over by another entity, so they have to die because now they're zombies. So, you know, she fed into his ego,
Ooh.
but he took it and he ran, and he then exalted himself in his own mind.
Ooh. Okay.
It's a
This
very,
may
very
change.
long and convoluted case. It's not something simple.
This could change a lot of things.
Hmm.
Where the lady is a sociopath. She's clearly a sociopath. Him, on the other hand, may not be a sociopath. He may actually be a psychopath.
I'm listening.
Okay, he actually may be a psychopath and not a sociopath because there could be a precedence here which could be um, stated or pointed out or whatever. If he can go out there and do a prayer or whatever and say, oh, they're dark, it just might be that he's not right in the head.
Well,
He,
this is the problem with religions like the the LDS Church. Now, I'm
yeah,
not condemning these people because I used to work with a doctor that was LDS, and he was the most decent human you could ever find. He was an excellent doctor. He was not crazy like you hear some of these people. He was a very good human being. But then you get people like Chad and Lori who then go off into the deep end and start twisting things, kind of like the David Koresh of the
yeah,
Adventist church. And this is the kind of like where I see, my opinion, where I see Chad and Lori going. They are exalting themselves as these massive beings, right? They're gods and she's a goddess. And oh, you have to, you know, do everything we say and you have to bow to us because we're so exalted. And it's really scary because they appear normal on one
yeah.
hand. You get them together and all of a sudden it's like the worst connection that could have ever been made because two people who probably would never have done what has happened, they now meet and life will never be the same. It's like Bonnie and Clyde. We have Chad
Yeah.
and Laura.
Or Ma Baker and her
Yes.
boys.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to
It's
give
just,
another quick shout out to V Sexton. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're following, and I'm assuming you're talking about the Crowley case. And real briefly here, I wanted to. I'm hopefully I've been doing so many things, guys. It's like it's insane. I do a lot of reading because I'm trying to get that section of the new section of yeah, the Crowley case of my channel, just because, like I said, the case is slowing down. So now I'm doing book reviews. So I'm reading a lot since February, the first or second week of February. I've read 30 books. That's a lot of books. And so between that and then following the Daybell case, there is someone, and let me find their comments because I mean, this person was just so amazing. Um, I think no, that wasn't it. Where did they leave that comment?
just to let you know later on, if you can check your messenger, I sent you a message.
Okay, yeah, it'll be a moment for that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying later, but
Yeah,
just let you know.
okay. But I want to read just briefly to go back to the Crowley case here real quick because um someone by the name
I'm here. I'm gonna get something to eat.
all right. Okay. So someone by the name of Mega Katari, they've been sending me some, notes on a couple of my videos. And what they're stating, I found so interesting. Um, let's see. Where is it? Oh my goodness. I'll find it. Hold on, people. I swear I have it. Okay, where are all the replies? Oh, there it is. There we go. And they said, now they were, this was underneath my video going over the autopsies, the David Crowley case. They wrote back to me and they stated, hey, it's mentioned David and Ranya's right hand is missing. I found this again on Chat GPT. Now they went to Chat GPT. Now where else did they? I need to find that other thing that they put on there. That's what I wanted to find. But now, according to Chat GPT, it states the absence of only the right hand on all of these bodies suggests a deliberate action rather than a random occurrence. It could indicate that the perpetrator or perpetrators had a specific intention or motive behind removing only the right hand. Possible reasons could include trying to obscure the identity of the victims, sending a message, or ritualistic purposes. The choice of the right hand over the left could be significant depending on cultural or symbolic meanings associated with right handedness in the context of the situation. And something else that they found on Chat GPT, where is it? Okay, this I found extremely interesting. Again, under the same video. And this is when it's talking about the autolysis. Now, if you remember, David's autopsy says marked autolysis, Rania and Kamel's, sorry about that, both just say autolysis. And I've been telling you guys there's a difference. Marked means more advanced.
Yes.
And she says, hey, Catherine, I found this on Chat GPT. I hope it helps. Now, Chat GPT's answer is, when the autopsy report mentions autolysis without the qualifier marked, it typically implies that there is some degree of tissue self-digestion or decomposition present in the bodies, but it may not be as extensive or as severe in the case of marked autolysis. The term autolysis alone suggests a lesser degree of tissue breakdown compared to marked autolysis. And so I just told this person, I said, thank you so much for finding. I didn't even think to look on Chat GPT, but even a computer knows that marked is more advanced degree of decomp than just regular autolysis. So what that means, folks, is David's decomposition was further along. If it's further along, he's dead longer. If he's dead longer, he didn't kill his family. End of story. It's over. So, but now, and that's what I want to go back over another time, but that's what I've been doing some more research on as well. So I'm very thankful to Mega. Well, I lost the web page again. Mega Hakatari 4987. I think I said that right. But anyway, you can find it under the video going over the autopsies David Crowley case. And so I truly appreciate them taking the effort to write these questions into Chat GPT. And like I said, even an AI can tell you that it's more advanced. But yeah, the this case though with Chad Daybell, it's just like, oh my goodness. So I don't know. Oh, and another thing that caught my attention this was from 2 days ago, so I think it was like Thursday. I think it was Wednesday or Thursdays. Where Melanie was being interviewed, I say what caught my attention yesterday on the Daybell case. Melanie Gibb recorded a call to Chad and Lori. In that call, Chad tells Melanie they won't tell her where the children are, so she can't be questioned by the police. So Chad knew where the children were, and this is after they were already presumed dead and buried in his yard. So if, again, Pryor was trying to say Chad didn't know, it was all Lori's doing and he was manipulated by her. But him telling Melanie, we're not going to tell you where the children are because in that way you can't be questioned by the police. He is culpable. He's part of it.
Yeah. It shows that he had presence of mind, that
Yes.
he knew that it was wrong. And so he does not want someone else to get in trouble for what he did was wrong. See, he should have kept his mouth shut.
Well, see, he did the rest of the phone call. So that's why Pryor was trying to say, oh, it was Lori. Lori didn't say we. She didn't say we. She was saying I. Chad just was there and didn't do anything. I'm like, Pryor, did you not hear where he's telling Melanie, we're not going to tell you where they are so you can't be questioned? He already gave up
No.
his culpability. It's too late.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it also shows that he had presence of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, if you're going to go for any other defense, you screwed yourself.
Yep.
Should have kept your mouth shut.
The entire case is like that. Now, I did not watch the Lori Daybell. I didn't watch her trial at all because I wanted to come into. I mean, I knew she was guilty, but I wanted to wait until Chad's because I wanted to wait and hear all of this stuff as it's being presented. And I am telling you, from day one, it's like, wow, dude, you just should have took a deal. You should not be on that stand because you're in trouble.
But that could also be evidence of his narcissism.
Well, yeah, that's true because look at Bundy. Bundy was, he was convinced he was going to be able to talk his way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what gets me though, like I was saying before, it's that and it's not just one or two. There are several people in the chat during the trial, as they're streaming it live, who are on Chad's side. They're thinking
you're always going to have that.
I know, and I don't get it. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're digging children out of his backyard. How can you say he's innocent?
You're not supposed to get it because you're a rational thinking person. Of course, you're not going to get it. But if you're someone who could be like Chad, but yet you don't have an influencer in your life yet, this could be an indication. Yep. Wow. It's sad. It's sad. Because when you can look at all the evidence and the cops, the law enforcement are pulling up dead bodies of children out of your backyard. And then you listen to what Chad's comments were. He did it. Well, and then for you to back him up, that goes to show that you might be just like him, but you just haven't had your Lori yet.
Yeah, that's true. And what I don't understand either are his children. His daughter that was talking to him, who's an adult. And she was so more concerned. She was crying sometimes, not because children were found buried in the yard, but because her poor daddy was in the back seat of a police car.
That's her Lori.
And I'm just like, oh, do you not hear yourself? There's a dismembered child that was burned, her pieces burned. And the officers were so upset. They're still crying on the stand to this day. And she's just like worried about her daddy who was, arrested in the backseat of a car and then paying the mortgage.
And they probably will not ever change that point of view.
And their mother, he killed their mother.
Yep.
And she's like all about, okay, well, I'll go talk to Lori about getting, this information, the Amazon account money. I'll talk to Lori to go get that. I'm like, she was the catalyst of your mother getting murdered.
Yep. And you'll never will get it.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't think I can. It's just can't.
You
But anyway,
never will. And this is the same thing that Jim Jones.
keep talking. I'm listening. I'll be right back.
This is the same
Jim
thing that that was evidence with Jim Jones. You remember him? You know, it's how he got 900 people to commit suicide is unbelievable. You want to think what is wrong with these people, and how you can tell that Jim Jones was not mentally sick. It was the fact that the congressman that went down to see them, they purposely they killed them so they couldn't talk, so they couldn't say anything.
Yep.
And then when they're backed into a corner, then they killed. I mean,
well, and that's the thing too. It's the
and
mob
people are
mentality.
the same way.
Yeah, it's the mob mentality because with the Jim Jones case, there were a lot of people who wanted to leave and tried to leave and didn't want to drink the Kool-Aid. And then he had the other people who were that were so devout, they would then hold these other people down and force the cyanide down their throat. So they're killing people and then they kill themselves. And it's like, whoa, this is twisted.
Presence of mind.
Oh, crazy.
And that's why we will never get it. And God help us if we ever leave that path.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and close off this live feed about the Daybell case. But so thank you. And thank you for explaining that because I often get all that stuff confused.
I already finished my ice cream.
Ice cream at what? 5:30 in the morning?
I was hungry.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks, Russell. And all of you who, I hope you guys join me next weekend. Like I said, this is the book I'm going to cover next week. A Touch of Chaos. This is the Scarlet St. Clair, Hades, and Persephone series. This is the final book. I absolutely loved this book. I cannot say enough good things about it. I hated the one previous to this one, which was what? A Touch of Malice, I think is what it was called. The series was really good. Like I said, there's 7 books total, and out of the 7, that one was just a waste. It was horrible, just really bad. So, but she more than made up for it with this one. So anyway, I hope you guys all have a great day. I hope you have a really good rest of your weekend. Thank you again, Russell, so much for joining me. And we'll catch you next time. You want to say bye?
Yeah, dead end.
Okay. Bye, everyone. And thank you, V. Sexton, for joining. I really appreciate you much. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.